Hi, my name is Allison Karpyn, and I thank everyone for inviting me to be there today. Unfortunately, I'm unable to be there in person, but I wanted to leave you with some thoughts and ideas from some work that's going on in Wilmington as a way of moving forward your Community Voices workshop. So let me introduce you to a nonprofit called Conscious Connections. You can read that their mission is to empower low-income minority residents of Wilmington through education, exposure, and economic opportunities in agriculture. They're very closely aligned with the thinking behind this workshop today, and I think it's important for folks to know about them and the work that they're doing in Wilmington as a real community voice to the effort. They seek to provide individuals with academic and character skills to become global stewards and do a lot in both the areas of job creation, agriculture, after-school activities, and even feeding programs. This is Matthew Williams. He's the executive director. He's done a lot to work to clean up what before was a blighted property, actually had to have a significant amount of soil remediation, and now they're growing there with residents on site just about every day. Here's some neighborhood kids. There's a tremendous number of children on this block, and the children come out in the afternoon or in the evening or during the day on the weekends and just kind of stop by and check out what's going on, what's growing, come say hello. This is where the work is located, and I wasn't able to click on the map, but if you're able to go to it on Google Maps, you can see 22 East 23rd Street in Wilmington is a neighborhood that in many ways is without significant investment. There are many homes there that need to be rehabbed. There's there's street improvements that are needed. It really has lacked significant investment. And the residents there, however, are really enthusiastic about having such an effort on their block. Here's another picture of the community garden as it was building and some of the residents and partners who helped to build it. So as part of this effort, we talked a little bit about how we could bring more community voice. And I should say that I'm a board member of Conscious Connections and have done what I can to try and help move them along, and obviously you can tell I'm a fan of the work. But I think too they really are a wonderful conduit to the community and what the community needs are, and speaking honestly with residents. Residents are comfortable coming to talk with them on a regular basis, and so I worked with Matthew for him to be a bit of a research assistant on a project for this particular conference, to go out and ask a couple of questions to residents just so we could get and really hear their voice literally and figuratively. And then I'll also show you a few slides that have some findings from a recent community survey that Conscious Connections put together to really understand more about what community needs are in that area of Wilmington. So when we went out on the street to talk to residents, we asked 3 questions. What do you want for the kids around here? If you had all the money in the world to help out families in Wilmington, what would you spend it on? And what would you like people to know about this community that they probably don't understand? So now I'm going to share with you some of the voices of the residents.
What do you want for the kids around here?
A recreation center.
If you had all the money in the world to help out families in Wilmington, what would you spend it on?
A homeless shelter for kids, battered women and children, and an Abbott House communication center, I don't know if I'm saying it right, for homeless people.
What would you like people to know about this community that they probably don't understand?
It's a good community. It's a lot of investments. And need more funding and programs for the people.
How you doing, Miss Shirley? Can I ask you some questions? First question is, what do you want for the kids around here?
They need to be able to learn how to do the gardening good.
Question number 2, Miss Shirley. If you had all the money in the world to spend on families in Wilmington, what would you spend it on?
Would spend some of it on education. Most of it probably, but once you get educated, you can go, the sky's the limit.
Hold on. Question number 3, Miss Shirley. What would you like people to know about this neighborhood that they probably do not understand?
In this neighborhood, a lot of us do stick together and we look out for each other, even though most people don't know it. But this neighborhood is not a bad neighborhood. It just needs some little regrouping.
Needs a little regrouping. For me, it's really important to reiterate the positive aspects of the neighborhood, and I'm sure that's been echoed throughout the conference. Residents of any neighborhood don't want to feel like they're in a bad place or that for some reason their neighborhood isn't important or valuable. And I think keeping the frame of reference on what a wonderful neighborhood it is and how much the residents really are, care for each other and care for the neighborhood is important. They're just lacking the resources to be able to bring, I think, their visions and hopes alive. We also talked to residents with a 5-question survey, and this is the same neighborhood, the same block area, and this was participatory action research. So residents themselves went out and collected this data. They did receive reimbursement for their time from us, and there were 33 total residents who responded in just this few block radius, and we did it recently. I thought it would be nice for you to see the handwriting of the residents to really feel the sort of the more personal interaction from the surveys. So we asked a number of questions, and I'll share with you a few of them here. One is to name 1 or 2 things that you would like Conscious Connections, Inc. to do for the neighborhood this year. You can see that the responses included cleaning it up, stopping the killings, keeping things positive, or one of the 2 things that they would like, keeping it positive, sorry. 3 greatest needs of the neighborhood. We got answers like a job, love, peace, less killing and more unity, better police, and more housing. We also heard safety, love, money, unity, peace. Because we're at the University of Delaware, we thought it would be nice to put some of these things into graphs as well. So we tallied up the responses to some of the questions. So the first question, which was in the neighborhood, how difficult is it to find fruits and vegetables? You can see that most residents, almost 80%, found it very difficult to find fruits and vegetables in that neighborhood, which is consistent with it being designated a food desert and the fact that this time in the season there's not much produce growing yet. What are the 3 greatest needs of the neighborhood? You can see we got a variety of different responses, but unity and protection, including protection with the police, community programs, jobs, housing, keeping things clean, and then a hodgepodge of other responses. Then the idea was to get some feedback specifically about the nonprofit, and so they found that the nonprofit was making some difference. It's young in its organizational history, so it's pretty consistent with what you might expect. And what would you like a nonprofit to do for the neighborhood this year? People talked about wanting community activities, again, more cleanup and jobs. And then we had this other bucket, which goes a bit high at times. It's a bit higher than some of the other bars, but what it really represents is a variety of responses, everything from that keeping things positive to, we had a response that said give a heart, another thing that said sports, and another response that said do the same as last year. So that's what's going into that other bucket. Another question that was asked was, how interested are you in becoming more involved with the garden in the neighborhood, so hands-on growing? And most people were very interested in becoming more involved. I think the overarching question, and obviously this is just a snippet from a few folks in a neighborhood in Wilmington, but the question is, how can our work directly address these community voices? As you can tell, the community voices are calling for more than just food access. They're also calling for engagement and activities for children, safety, cleanliness, and how is it that our work can coincide with their work and their interests in a way that really formulates true community cohesion. To start to answer this question, I'll also share with you that there's been an event that's been going on now for several years called Unity Day. And if folks aren't familiar with it, it's become one of the largest community-based events in Philadelphia. It brings thousands of people out, and it's usually in June every year. And you can Google it for the date this year. I pulled this flyer out. This one, though, is from last year. I highly recommend that if folks here are interested in really getting involved in this work, that they consider either offering to set up a booth or making a donation to Unity Day, or thinking about how they can work more with Conscious Connections. Doing things like fundraising events, you can even do them in your own home, or having an after, like a cocktail hour or something like that, where you collect funds for Conscious Connections or a similar nonprofit that you want to support. You know, a lot of times we have interest in grant writing. This is a great organization to practice your skills if you're interested. They need hands in the garden, so just people to go out to help harvest, especially when the summer hits and the tomatoes are plentiful and there's a lot to pick. We don't want anything to go to waste. And above all, just stop by and say hi. Spending time in the community is a great community asset. Getting to know people and just building those partnerships and friendships is a long way toward being part of the solution. So I recommend that everybody consider stopping by, saying hi, talking to somebody, and sharing with them your day, and let them share with you theirs. Again, I thank you for taking the time to allow me to be part of this session, and I look forward to working with everyone as we move forward. Thank you.